Well, hello, everyone. This is John Berman with Poets and Quants. Welcome to our center court session on Indiana University's Kelley School of Business and their MBA program. I'm very happy to have two guests on this webinar. We have a current student who I think you're really going to enjoy. He'll graduate in 2023 this year, so he's on the back end of a two-year program. His name is Palos Tewolde. And then we also have, of course, Gail Nichols, the executive director of the MBA program at Kelley. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you, John. Great to be here with you.
Thank you, John. Very excited.
Yeah, me too. And now I want everyone to know more about IU first before we dive deep into the MBA program and Paolo's experience with it. And I wonder if you could give us a sense of it, because I think, my original perception of Bloomington, Indiana was formed by that wonderful movie. It's a classic movie about bicycle racing. You remember it?
Mm-hmm. Sure, Breaking Away. And that's a real bicycle race. That's not a fictional race that was made up for a movie.
And it occurs in Bloomington, Indiana, which is the home of Indiana University and the Kelley School of Business.
Yep, IU.
Tell us a bit about the history of the school, the university, and Kelley's place within the overall university.
Sure. Well, Indiana University celebrated its 200th anniversary in 2020. Our plans for a fabulous bicentennial were kind of sidelined a bit by the pandemic, but the Kelley School at the same time was celebrating its 100th anniversary. So we have a rich history and tradition here at Kelley. The MBA program's been around since the 1940s. So we also have been established for a long time, but the Kelley School is an important jewel in the crown of Indiana University Bloomington, let's say that, along with some other very fine schools, our School of Public and Environmental Affairs, our music school, law school, et cetera, et cetera.
Your music school is remarkable. I've been there and I've sat and watched concerts there, and my favorite trumpet player of all time, Chris Bodie, is a graduate of your music program, incidentally.
We have graduated many fine musicians in jazz, in classical music, all kinds of music. So it's a great place.
And Gail, tell us about your MBA program, because in many ways, it was a pioneer in integrative curricula.
Yes. So our MBA program is a 21-month residential program. It is wonderful for career switchers, and many of our students are career switchers, although not all of them. It's a very immersive program, high on experiential learning opportunities, and I would describe it also as a very high-touch program. You've been here and you've visited, John, and you've met our deans, our faculty, everybody. And so I think you have a sense of how engaged everybody from the deans to the faculty to the staff to the alumni to the current students all are with the program and with one another. We have a real pay it forward kind of philosophy here. Amongst the students and with the alumni. I want to say that I was especially proud that in the Bloomberg Business Week rankings just this fall, we were ranked number 8 in learning and number 2 in networking. And that just meant a great deal.
Absolutely. And I will say, back on the integrated curriculum, as far as I know, you were the only school in the world that takes the core curriculum and teaches it in an integrated fashion, and then awards only one grade to your students for that entire integrated core. Am I correct?
You are correct. You are correct. And we're still doing that here at Kelley. I think it works very well. Paolo's, though, could tell you more from his point of view about that.
I wonder, Paolo, if it scared you to know that all those courses would all roll up into only one grade.
It did, John. And talking to students right before I got to school was kind of the biggest thing, that rite of passage of surviving core, as they described it. But it's a fantastic way to really learn all those key and core subjects all at the same time. But the professors do a good job of overlaying the information. There's like a nice weave of thread all the way through it. So you're connecting the concepts that are really important all the way through. And by the end of it, if you can survive, you look back and you just can't believe how much you learned in the span of that 4 to 6 months. But I did really well. It's rigorous, I will say, but it's a fantastic opportunity for anyone to really learn those core skills and just boost their profile as an individual.
Yeah, that's great. And truly unique too, because that doesn't happen elsewhere. There are other schools that have integrated curriculum, but no one who does it the way Indiana Kelley does it. Now let's back up a little bit and get your story, Paolo. Why did you want an MBA in the first place? And then how did you come to choose Indiana Kelley?
Sure. So my MBA journey begins really back when I was 13. I told my dad I wanted to get a master's degree, and I told my dad I wanted to do business. And those vague descriptions led me to this sort of 20 some odd year long idea of I'm going back for a master's degree and it's going to be something business related. But when things got really serious from a planning perspective back in 2019, I'd say. I mean, there were a lot of things holding me back. I was halfway through my professional career, about 5 years in, but fear, self-doubt, and that complacency was really what was holding me back. So I talked to some friends who were actually at Kelley and ones who had finished other MBA programs, and they just said, line up what's important to you. What are the things that you really care about? And it came down to, I needed a top 25 program because I was leaving a safe and stable job. I really wanted a small class size just because I had experienced that large commuter school in undergrad, and it really wasn't compatible for my learning style. And I really wanted that ROI, the return on investment. I majored in finance in undergrad, and it was, a fundamental requirement for me to understand that whatever I was investing my time and effort and energy in, I was going to get sufficient return. So I had to balance out the cost of living and books and tuition with the scholarship opportunities and networking opportunities and that earning potential after. And so when I looked at those three things, Kelley was the best place for me to really build those in-demand skills, expand my network, and open doors for my future career opportunities.
Yeah. And I'm sure you believe you made the right choice.
I 100% made the right choice. Kelley, I have to say, I didn't know where Bloomington was before I started looking for and researching. I had watched Hoosiers was the old movie for me, John, that I had known IU through that movie and that movie alone. But when I started doing research and looking for it, it's a fantastic town, a great place, and an even better institution.
What surprised you most when you entered the MBA program?
Well, the shock of core was definitely the first thing that surprised me. Trying to figure out how to balance all those subjects all at the same time, that was the biggest sort of shock. And then trying to understand how to weave in the networking aspect and the professional development. Thankfully, we had a fantastic staff of our graduate career services team, as well as our faculty and professors. And they had seen it so many times that they almost had it down to a formula. You had to trust in the process and you could really build out all those skills. So the shock that came with, there's so much daunting things that I need to do, it was alleviated by the faith that we had in our professors to really guide her and say, hey, learn this subject, walk through this, learn these core ideas, and you'll be ready. And so from then on, it was just put in the work. And that was something I was used to doing. So I was okay. Once they turned it into, here's a list of things you need to complete, I was ready to go.
One of the things that I've always admired about the Kelley program is Me Inc. And Gail, I wonder if you could describe that, because it is a best-in-class career management and career development process. And then we can get, from the front lines, Paolo's experience of it. But talk a little bit about that, Gail, because I think that really is differentiated for Kelley, and it really shows your incredible investment in and commitment to career management.
I agree that that's a really important part of our program and a really beneficial part. Me Inc. is more than 10 years old, and it is our signature professional development program that students go through before they've ever set foot in any one of their core classes. So they come to campus a few weeks before classes start and are immersed in this Me Inc. program. We've even added a few webinars and activities before they get to town in recent years. We've expanded Me Inc. to now be a 3-week-long program. I don't know if you knew that, John, but we do all kinds of activities with the students, mostly in a smaller classroom setting. So we might have 15 or 16 students in a classroom, thinking and talking about their skills, their interests, their values, what they're looking for out of their career, talking about the importance of personal brand and how they're going to communicate their skills, their values, their interests in their personal brand, how to network with employers, how to research companies. We do some team building activities too, because it's in those Me Inc. classrooms that they're first meeting their core teammates who they'll be working with for the following few months. So all of that is insightful for the students. It helps really lay the groundwork, the foundation for their time at Kelley academically and professionally. So I don't know, Palos, what do you want to add to that?
That's great. Okay, so Gail gave us the 10,000-foot view of Me Inc. Palos, I want you to come down to the ground and be in the front. Give me one moment, recreate for me one moment during Me Inc. where you said to yourself, oh my God, I never realized that.
Yeah, it's hard to narrow down one moment just because it's such an impactful experience. I mean, we got here knowing no one. Like the only thing we all had in common was the fact that we moved from some faraway land to central Indiana, and we dove in. And I remember after the second day, I want to say it was all about personal values. What is it that you value the most and why? What are the things you're trying to take away from school and why? And the level of introspection and those discussions is just way more than I expected for a school. I'd never seen anything in my professional or my scholastic experience that had something like that. But I got to know my classmates, my specific core teammates, and just people in the program so much better than I ever would have expected in the span of a few weeks. And so I learned a lot more about myself than I ever expected. I honestly, you fight it at first. I think everyone's initial response is, let me hold something back in terms of why I'm here and what brought me here, what I'd like to gain. But after a few sessions, you're so deep in your reasoning for why you're here, your goals and your expectations for the future, that you really get to build that path with some of your closest friends. So fantastic experience, like nothing I've ever had before, and probably the hallmark of my time here.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Gail, if you had to say what the 3 major hallmarks of the Kelley MBA program are, what would you say?
Well, Me Inc. is one of them, for sure. Another is our academies, which I'm happy to tell you more about if you'd like. And then I would say the third one is the Kelley family. Really the feel, the culture here, which I talked about a couple minutes ago, just, the warm, high touch, supportive, collaborative environment here.
Yeah. And from your standpoint as a second-year student now, about to graduate in a few months, what were the 3 highlights for you?
Sure. So I'd start with the academy. So I was in Consulting Academy. It's one of our many experiential learning academies. You get to spend the better half of core working through these in the first year, working through how can I take the skills that I'm learning in class and apply them into the real world. I got to work directly with Scott Loeffner, the director of our Consulting Academy. He's a former senior director at a consulting firm. And the amount of detail, the insights, the information he could share with me, I went from being apprehensive and fearful of going into consulting, which is a new field for me, to loving it. I came back to be a GA, a graduate assistant for that academy this year. I coached students all year long on how to prepare for consulting case style interviews. I mean, it's become a passion of mine that I didn't think was possible. I didn't know was there. So the academy is definitely one. Case competitions as a whole. So in that same vein of the competitiveness that came with the Consulting Academy, I got to team up with the best and brightest at Kelley and compete on a national stage. I mean, the roller coaster of emotions that came with that, the time and energy and the effort that you put in, there was really nothing like it, but it enhanced my connections with my friends and colleagues here at Kelley. And it really built out this understanding of core business problems that I could have never just gotten through class alone. And then lastly, being elected class president was pretty big. The Kelley family that Gail mentioned has been huge. So I'm a member of a student government team. We oversee 20 some odd clubs that cater to the varying needs of our student body, everything from diversity and professional development to sports interests and even analytics focus. So being able to lead that group of fantastic individuals and help them accomplish their goals across the board has been a great opportunity for me and a hallmark of my time here at Kelley.
Fantastic. We should give people a better understanding of what the academy structure does, I think. Gail, you have academies in how many fields? Maybe you can tell us what they are. And then we just should say what they're really meant to do is to help someone successfully transition from student to profession. And that's through mentoring. It's through lectures by practitioners who come in and speak with students. It's by lining up an internship that may or may not lead to a full-time job offer, so that when you go back in late August, you might very well have a job offer in your pocket and make second year a lot less stressful for yourself.
Yes.
Right? I mean, it's a whole bundled group of activities and initiatives that help direct and focus people and funnel them into exactly what they want, right?
Yes, that was a great explanation. I'll embellish it a little bit further.
Please.
So you asked how many academies we have. So we have 6 career foundation academies, and each of our students participates in one of these academies of their choosing. So there's the Consulting Academy, which Paolo's was part of. We have a Business Marketing and a Consumer Marketing Academy. We have a Supply Chain and Digital Enterprise Academy, and 2 finance-related academies, one in capital markets for people interested in investment banking or investment management, and strategic finance for people interested more in a corporate finance or treasury type role, something like that. So in addition to doing all the things that you mentioned, lectures, hearing from practitioners, company visits are part of the academy process. Students also do a project which takes up a good bit of the spring semester in their first year. And these are real projects for real companies. They're not, ABC companies widget issue or something like that. Students are working with Fortune 500 companies and other companies on real things that are important to company leaders. And this provides fantastic preparation for students' summer internships. And the students often come back from the summer and say, I was able to secure a full-time offer from my internship company in large part because of how well my academy project prepared me for what I'm going to be doing.
Tell us, do you remember what your project was?
Yes. Trying to note the exact details I can't share, but I got to work on a growth strategy project for a large energy company in the United States. They had specific problems with customer acquisition. They wanted to design a new sort of vertical of their industry to play in. So we got to help everything from sort of research and ideation all the way through like a design of a game plan and an approach to take. It was probably the most beneficial project of my spring time here. But it was a real problem and a real client, and we got fantastic insight from how they think, where they'd like to go with it. And I from what I heard, they took our recommendation and actually ran with it. So I actually do have, it reminds me I have to follow up with my client from last year to see how things are going. But it was as close to the real thing. I actually interned at Deloitte Consulting this past summer. I was on their strategy team and I got to work through similar issues. So the translation of those skills that I picked up in Consulting Academy, it was one for one to here's exactly why I secured that full-time offer. It's because nothing was new to me. I'd seen it before, at least I was familiar with it. And we had the capability to actually work through it. So Consulting Academy is the reason I got through that internship and why I got the return offer, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's great. Talk a little bit about, the co-curricular stuff. You obviously are very involved in the clubs and organizations. And that must take up a fair amount of your time. What does that add to the culture? What's the culture of the student culture like at Indiana Kelley?
Sure. The culture here at Kelley, it's extremely welcoming, it's inclusive, and it's fun. The Kelley family, as we call it, I mean, it's something that we all understand at our core. You feel that in all of your interactions. Again, I preside over 20 some odd clubs. The interests that we get to cater to, the opportunities to build those friendships and lasting professional connections. I mean, it's more than just the club at that point. It's about who I am as an individual, who I can connect with on a deeper level. We get to do that on a weekly and sometimes daily basis. The intimate feeling of the cohorts here and the classrooms here, there's nothing like it. It's 2 years and it goes by in a flash, but the connections I've made here and the friendships I've made here are going to last a lifetime.
That's great to hear, because I really think that that's core to a truly transformational experience. I mean, you're going to graduate not only with a diploma and new skills and a job, but you're going to graduate with a whole host of friends that will endure over a lifetime, and that's priceless.
Exactly. And not to mention the actual Kelley network, which I think is an extension of that family I've talked about. The amount of connections and discussions I've had with alumni who had the same feelings of connectedness to the community here, of feeling included and welcomed everywhere they went. That extends beyond just my cohort into the entire Kelley network community.
So, Palos, if you had to give advice to someone else who was in your place 2 years ago, applying to MBA programs, thinking about getting an MBA, and then ultimately ending up in Bloomington at Indiana Kelley, what advice would you offer?
Be honest with yourself about your reasons for choosing a school. Find the place that feels like home, where you're welcomed and supported and challenged. I mean, for me, I wanted to be in a place where I could collaborate with intelligent people and learn in that intimate environment. I wanted to nourish my network and practice my leadership skills. And Kelley gave me all those things. I mean, if I could check a list of all the things that Kelley had and the things that I needed, it was a perfect fit. So I always tell people, encourage them, if you'd like to go to the big schools and not have that focused attention, if you don't need the learning environments that are conducive to you really having a deep understanding, then maybe it's not right for you. But by and large, everyone I know who's come here, who came from every different background, has felt welcomed and nourished in this Kelley community. So be honest with your needs and find the school that'll fit it. And I challenge you to look at Kelley as a school that won't, because we do. I mean, they check every single box I could imagine.
And I'm just going to say that for career switchers, you might think that if you go to Bloomington, Indiana to switch your careers, that it may be more difficult to go to the East or West Coast. That's not true. I've met people from Kelley who work in investment banking in New York. I've met people and sat with them from Kelley who work for the big tech firms, Google and others in Silicon Valley. So the degree travels very well. And I think that's a myth that's worth destroying. Don't you think, Gail?
I absolutely think that. I hear people say things like this, that, oh, if I graduate from Kelley, I'll only be able to get a job in the Midwest or something like that. And that is absolutely not true. We do have some students who choose to work in the Midwest. They want to do that, and that's great. They're from the area, or they have family, or they just like it in Chicago or elsewhere. But we have students, as you said, every year going to places like New York, Seattle, Portland, the Bay Area, Texas, Atlanta, Miami, Boston, DC, you name it, and then international locations all over the world. So Kelley's are everywhere. Our network is 120 some thousand alumni between our program, the undergrads, and others. So we are everywhere. You can find a Kelley anywhere on the globe.
And if you could find them on Poets and Quants, because I have done a couple of videos of Kelley graduates in New York City who do work in investment banking, and Kelley graduates who do work in Silicon Valley and San Francisco in the Bay Area in the tech field from Kelley. You should look that up as well. Those are really cool and fun videos. Now,
They are.
I'll let you go, Paulus. Did you do a global immersion?
I did not. I wasn't able to do a global immersion last year. I opted to do a consulting academy project instead. So I just missed it.
Because we should also mention, which we have not had, that you have a very good portfolio of global immersions for MBA students. And now that COVID is over, you're back to traveling abroad.
Yes, we are. So we have groups of students who will be doing globe-based programs in Botswana, Greece, and Indonesia this spring. And our study abroad programs are back running again. So pretty exciting. And we have a group going to Italy over spring break too, taking a look primarily at women-owned businesses in Italy.
Oh, wow.
So that's a new program initiated by one of our core faculty members, Jenny Dinger, and one of her colleagues. So we're excited about that new program too.
And I'm sure plenty of pasta will be eaten, plenty of wine will be drunk at that immersion.
Could be, not telling.
Right. Okay, so Gail, if anyone would like to reach out to a member of your admissions team and to explore Kelley further, what should they do in addition to looking at your excellent website, which really describes a lot of the program in a lot of detail, and reaching out to a current student who can really tell us?
Yeah, so they can check out our website. They can write to IUMBA at indiana.edu for more information, or they can email me if they want to at ggnichol@indiana.edu, and mention that John Byrne sent them, and I'll be glad to respond.
That's terrific. That's great. And I want everyone to note this, okay? Not everyone who comes on here immediately gives their personal email address and encourages you to contact them. That tells you a lot about the Kelley family touch and the commitment and dedication the staff has to the students and to the programs that Kelley has. So Gail, thank you so much. It's great to see you again. Paulus, good luck to you. I know you're off to a great career soon. And I think that when you walk across that stage and pick up your diploma, it'll be a bittersweet moment because you'll want to stay in Bloomington a little bit longer, wouldn't you?
Oh, it's going to be the hardest day coming up. I already know it. I still can't believe it's already here. But thank you so much, John. I'll take my time and slow it down as much as I can to enjoy the next couple of months. It will be a bittersweet day for sure.
Do that. All right. Good luck to you. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. You've been watching our Center Court session on Indiana University's Kelley School of Business and its terrific MBA program. Thanks for watching.